Hey guys, this is Jaegerchere. Welcome to today's special episode. So I'm just gonna put this episode under the tips and tricks series because this episode is just gonna be about the unit explanation of the different civs of the game. And then as you can see, I've categorized the units. So these are the artillery unit, these are the melee infantry units. So and then these are the range infantry. But then the reason I separate these with these is because these units count as heavy infantry, same like this, and these two are the shock infantries, in case if you have uh, noticed them, and these are the ranged cavalry unit, or they call it as light cavalry, and these are the heavy cavalry unit. And the only range I think the only range cavalry unit that is count as heavy cavalry as well is the the rifle riders of the Lakota. So this is an exception for here. And then also the Urumis of India are also count as light infantry, but then there are they do melee attack damage. Okay, so just take these in mind, so if you want to counter them inside the units, so you would know. The reason I'm doing this video is because lots of you have asked me to do the counter unit explanation. So these are what I'm going to explain is just a simple explanation for you guys to have a better idea on what you need to use for to counter the other unit. And then you can just apply these counter unit methods to either your treaty game or your rush game or supremacy game. So whatever game you do, it's always better to do counter units. So yeah, then let me just get started with this from the top part. So these units they are known as the skirmisher type unit. So all of these are count as light infantry unit. Okay, so they will do a decent damage to other infantry units inside the game. So it doesn't matter what type of infantry it is. When you use these units, the other infantry units that the enemy is using, they will take more damage from these units. Okay, because as you can see, they when you click on any of them, for example this one, you just go to and then hold your mouse on this part, and then you can see the multiplier that they do to other units. As you can see, for example, the Yumi archers, which is for for Japanese allies, they have 19 attack, and then they have 18 range, 3 rate of fire, and then as you can see, they do 1.5 extra damage against heavy infantry. And then they will do also extra damage against light cavalry units, which are usually the cavalry that are with range attack. So make sure to have this in mind as well. But then there are all of these units are super weak against hand cavalry unit. Also same goes for the Urumis. So all these units, they are super weak against hand cavalry unit or the heavy cavalry units. Okay, so I'm just gonna show you all these skirmisher type. So this one is the longbow, it's for British. This one is the Wakina rifle for Lakota. This one is for Yumi archer for Japan. This one I think is called Aina. If I'm not sure how to pronounce it correctly, but then yeah, this one is for Haudenosaunee or hierarchy. And then these are the Strilat for Russia. This one is the crossbow. So most of the European civ have this unit, but then the only downside of them is for the treaty game because they cost wood, and then for treaty game usually it's better to use the units that cost food and coin because the wood will eventually finish during the game. But then they have a decent multiplier. As you can see, they do 1.25 against heavy infantry and then multiply by 2 to light cavalry, light range cavalry. But then as you can see, all these units are just the basic units, so they are not upgraded to H4, H3 or Imperial Age, so they are all basic unit. So usually when you age up and upgrade these units, the look of them will be changed slightly, not much. It's just that their overall visual will be slightly different, so just keep that in mind. But then their function will be still the same, so nothing to worry about. And then okay, and then we have the forest prowlers, and these are for the Haudenosaunee as well. But then again, these units cost wood, but then the forest prowlers, they don't cost wood, they cost food and coin, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, wait, I think it was food and coin. And then the other ability that the forest prowlers have is that you can put them on stealth mode, as you can see, so the enemy units won't be able to see them. But then if you go near to the enemy's town center, enemy outpost, or enemies explorers, your unit will be revealed, so make sure to have that in mind as well. And then these are the jungle bowmen for Inca. These are the Seton bowmen for Lakota. Again, this unit costs wood, but then the volcano rifle don't cost, they cost food and coin. And these are the Gurkhas for India, Cazadors for British, sorry, Cazadors for Portuguese, the Otontins for Aztec, the Skirmishers for most of the European civs, such as Germany, French, Spanish, what else? I'm not I can't recall it, but most of the European civ, they have this unit, and it's called Skirmisher. And then the Chukunus are for the Chinese. They have lots of upgrade, and they will be really decent with their damage, so make sure to keep that in mind as well. And then these are the Urumis. They are special units of India, so you cannot train the Urumis from your barracks or whatever, so you can only send them through shipment, so just keep that in mind as well. But then as you can see, they do hand attack damage, but then they are count as light infantry. And then as you can see, their multiplier 1.75 against heavy infantry, and then they are super weak against cavalry, especially the hand cavalry, so the cavalries with melee attack. And then they will do multiplied 2 multipliers to light range cavalry. Okay, and then we move to this part first, and then this one I would put them in between them because as you can see here, here, as you can see, these are the Nizam Fusiliers or the special units of Ottoman as well. So when you upgrade their church, when you get the church card and do their upgrade, you will be able to train this unit, Not actually train it, you can get it from the shipment of each Janissaries. And then as you can see, they have multiplier against other infantries, while the normal Janissaries, they do not have that. That's why I put them between the Skirmisher type and then the Musketeer type, because the Nizam Fusiliers have multiplier against cavalry, and then they have uh, this melee mode, and then also the volley mode. Okay, and these are the arquebusier for China. These are the Musketeer type of China, the Ashiguro of Japan, Sepoy of India, Bolos Warrior Inca, Eagle Runner of Aztec. Actually, I really like the Eagle Runners. As you can see, they do quite a decent damage to cavalry units. As you can see, multiplied 3 damage. But then even the range attack do decent damage to cavalry units. And then the Carolines, I would say the most OP units in the game at the moment, because of the upgrades that they get during the game. So these are for Sweden, so just keep that in mind as well. The Musketeers, the normal Musketeers, this one, most of the European civ, they have it, such as the British, the Russian, the what else that I can mention? Portuguese, French, most of the European civ, they have this. And then these are the Janissaries. So the Janissaries are the only infantry type of Turkey. So again, you can set them on hand melee mode and then volley mode. But then the good point is, the good effect of the Janissaries is they have a sword when you put them on melee mode. The same thing applies for the Sepoys. Where is it? Okay, as you can see, and the Carlins as well, as you can see. And these are the Tomahawk of Haudenosaunee. And then now we move to the other heavy infantry group, which they only do melee attack damage. So these are the Macemen of Inca. As you can see, they're really decent against buildings, and then they have a huge multiplier against cavalry. And then but then the downside of them is they walk quite slow, and also they cost 3 population. But then they have a quite decent stat, if you see. And then we have the pikemen. So most of the European civ have this unit. The school knights, these are the special units of Aztec. You can train them through your community plaza. They're super strong, super effective. So usually in the treaty games, you only use them for the first army that you're gonna use. And then for the rush game, you can just use them to run the enemy down super fast. And these are the Chinese pikemen. As you can see, same function as the normal pike. And these are the dupes of dupes of Germany. I really like them. And then just have to keep in mind that these dupes cost 2 population. And then we have the club warrior of Lakota, and then Rajput of India, samurai of Japan. And then the other thing I wanted to mention, the samurais of Japan, they have extra area damage attack. And then same goes for the dupes of Germany. They have 2 area damage attack. and also the school knights. Same goes, and then the macemans, they have 3 area damage attack. Where was I? Okay, here. And then we have the Jaguar Prowl Knights. These are for Aztec. These units, you can set them to stealth mode. But then again, same like the Forest Prowlers, if the enemies is close to them, the enemy explorer, town center, and then the outpost, they can track them. And these are the Plum Spearman of Inca, and then the Roadrellos of Spanish, the Chinese Swordsman, and then the Puma Spearman of Aztec, and then the halberdiers that most of the European civ have it. The one that I can remember is France, Portuguese, and Dutch. The other, I don't think they have it, or not that I can remember for now. So usually the heavy infantry units, which are these, and also this one, I would say, they are really decent against cavalry with their melee attack. As you can see, all of them have multiplier against cavalry, as you can see here. So all of them have multiplier with their melee attack against cavalry. And the other thing about the heavy infantry units, as you can notice, most of them have higher siege compared to the skirmisher type. Okay, especially these units which are the heavy infantry with only melee attack. So, but then again, the musketeer types, they usually have higher damage compared to the skirmisher type, but then this damage is just the base damage, but then the skirmisher types usually have huge multipliers for the range attack. So just keep that in mind. So usually let's since we are done with the infantries, now let's compare. So let's say if the enemy use all these infantry units or any infantry that you can see, you can just use the skirmisher type, which are these units, and then also the Urumis if you play with India. So they can just almost shred all of these units. And then let's say if the enemy is using these units, again, you can just use cavalry or artilleries to kill them, because they are really weak against artillery and hand cavalry. And then the musketeers, if you want to use them, make sure to use them against cavalry, or just use them to have a extra. I mean, they usually have higher HP compared to the skirmisher type, so it's always better to have them inside your army. So in case if the enemy comes for your skirmisher, they can defend them. And also if the enemy use the skirmisher type, they can block some damage for them. And then again, if you want to counter these units, you can use the skirmisher type and also the artillery type. And then for these hand infantry unit, they are really decent for destroying building, destroying cavalries, but then if you want to counter them, make sure to use again the skirmishers or the artillery. And then we move to these two special unit. The Chimu runners and the Coyote runners are called the shock infantry units. So since the Aztec and Incas, they don't have any cavalry unit, they have these two units, so they almost act like a cavalry unit. As you can see, they run super fast. And then so these Coyote runners are for Aztec, and then the Chimu runners is for Inca. So in case if you want to use this, make sure to use them against either artilleries or skirmisher type, which are these. But then against these musketeers or any heavy infantry unit, they are super weak. And also against range cavalry unit, they are really weak as well. So make sure if you want to use them, take them away from the enemy's heavy infantry units, which are these, and also any range cavalry that you can see. Okay, now let's move to the hand cavalry, heavy cavalry units with hand attack damage. We have the meteor hammers of China. As you can see, they are really they're really strong, I would say, in their own way, because they are really good against artillery, especially. So usually I think you can train them from the Chinese castle, if I'm not mistaken. So what the use of them is to just go for the enemy's artillery and then kill them. As you can see, all these cavalry, they have range resistance, but then for the wait, where was it? Oh wait, okay, never mind. So yeah, these hand cavalry units, they all have range resistance, but then the more you upgrade them, they will be stronger with higher HP and higher damage. So again, for the meteor hammers, which are for China, you can use them against artillery. The Opernik of Russia, they are really good against artilleries and also sieging, but then you have to keep in mind that their HP is really low, but then as you can see, their siege damage is super high compared to other cavalry units. But then every advantage comes with a disadvantage, which is their HP, which is low. So make sure if you want to use them, just use for sieging. Do not use them to fight the enemy units. I mean, of course, they will do splash damage, but then they die pretty quickly, especially against range cavalry and musketeers, and also other heavy infantries. And then we have these OP units of French. Everyone knows it. So these gendarmes are really good. They do area damage, as you can see. So they are really decent against artillery, against skirmishers, against building. I mean, when you upgrade them, they're literally good against everything except the melee heavy infantry. And then they are not so good against the musketeer type as well, but then still they can manage to destroy them. And then the Mahud Lancer of India, the Hussars of British, and most of the civs inside the game. And then most of the European civ, actually I wanted to say, but I forgot. Okay, and then the Uhlans, which are the heavy cavalry of Germany. And then the Sowars, they ride in a camel, so they're a cavalry. And they are for India. They are not really decent for treaty games, but then for rush games you can find a way to use them. And the good thing about them is that they cost 1 pop, but then most of the cavalry units, they cost 2 pop at least. So let's say, for example, these they cost 2 pop. The gendarmes, they cost 3 pop. And then the Mahud Lancers, I think they cost 6 pop. 6 pop actually with the upgrade card that reduced the elephants. elephant population. But then if you don't use that card, they cost 7 pop, which is really huge. And then the Uhlans cost 2 pop as well. The steppe riders of China, they cost 2 pop. The lancers of Spanish, they're really strong against infantry, as you can see, multiplied 3 damage against infantry. But then again, they cost 3 pop. The axe riders of Lakota, they're really strong. I actually like them a lot. And then the iron flays of China, as you can see, they do area damage. They're really decent against infantries and artilleries, but then not so good against destroying buildings or with their siege damage, because as you can see, their siege damage is pretty low. And then the Tokala soldiers, which is for Lakota. So this one is a special unit, same like Aztec. You can only train them through your community plaza with Lakota. So for each of these, if you have a full community plaza, it will take 19 seconds. So just have that in mind, that they cost. I mean, it take a lot of time for them to come out. And then so for these Tokala soldiers and also the school knights, they will upgrade automatically, but when you age up, and also the Urumis. So the more you age up, their HP and attack and siege damage will be increased. So just keep that in mind, because you don't need to upgrade them. And then the Kenya horsemen of Haudenosaunee, the Tashonki prowlers of Lakota, and then these units you can set them on stealth mode, but then as you can see, there is a downside where their speed will be reduced when you put them on stealth mode. And then these Tashonki prowlers are also not upgradable, so the more you age up, their base stat will be increased, and also the more of them you have inside one batch, their HP and their siege damage and their attack will increase. So let's say if you want to use them, it's better to have them on maxed out. So but then there is a build limit for them, which is 14. But then even if you get their upgrade card, which is for the build for their build limit, you can build maximum of 18 of them. But then as I said, in a group fight, I mean, if you have a full batch of them, they're really strong. They're almost unstoppable, because they will do area damage as well. And then we have the Naginata riders of Japan. They're again almost like lancers. They're really decent against infantry, but then I would say the lancers are much stronger. But then the Naginatas have quite good HP if you do their upgrades and then mix them with your daimyos. And then we have the Cossacks, which is for Russia, and then the Spahis, which is the special units of Ottoman as well. But these units are really strong because they have high HP, and then they have 3 area damage, which is huge. I mean, in case if you have played against gendarmes, they have 2 area damage. Now just imagine how good is 3 area damage. So again, I say these are insane. So if you want to play with Ottoman in treaty, it's better to always have their infinite card, because when you upgrade your cavalry units card, the card that increases the cavalry units HP and attack damage, that one will stack with these as well, and then their HP will be like super high. So these are the heavy cavalry units with melee attack, and then there is the the rifle riders, which are the only heavy cavalry unit with range attack. As you can see, they do insane damage and multiplier against any lots of units. As you can see, hand cavalry, they do multiply by 3, heavy infantry, they do multiply by 3, artillery multiply by 6, and ships multiply by 6. So they are super strong actually, but then their cost is quite high, but then still they're really decent. Now we move to the light cavalry units, which are all of them are range unit, but then still you can set them on melee mode and then use their melee attack damage. But then some of them do not do any damage to other units, so just make sure to just use them if you need them. Actually, the other unit that I forgot to put is the Sweden's Haka plate, which is also a light cavalry unit. So they're almost like the dragoons, but then I would say the dragoons are more effective. So again, the dragoons, most of the Europeans have it, the French have it, the Portuguese have it, what else? Spanish. I think that's all about the European civ that they have dragons. And then these are the Zamburak of India. Again, I don't suggest you guys to use both of these camel units inside with India if you want to play with in treaty, but then in rush game there are different strategies, you can use them. And then the cavalry archers, the Ottoman and the Russians, and also Ottoman, Russian, and Turkey have them, so they're range cavalry. And then the bull riders of Lakota, and the Reuters is for Dutch only, and then the Hauda of India. So the Haudas are really strong actually. As you can see, they have insane damage with insane multipliers, but then again the only downside is their population cost, which is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, after you get the upgrade is 5 per Hauda. So there is something to have in mind. And then the war wagons of Germany, I really love them because they're really effective. As you can see, they have insane damage, insane multiplier, high HP, so everything about them is great. And then I mention again, I forgot to put the Haka plates inside here. So the Haka plates of Sweden, they also count as light cavalry. So now, since we are done with cavalry, actually these are as well. So these are the 4 actually 3 daimyo and 1 shogun of Japan. They are count as heavy cavalry unit. You can train units with them. So, and then they will, as you can see, this the shogun boost your units HP, and then the daimyos boost your units attack damage. They will be super effective in a fight. So in case if you play with them, make sure to always have them in a safe place, and then if you see the enemies running towards them to kill them, make sure to run around to put them in a safe place. And then but then if you're playing against them, make sure to always kill them, because as long as they stay in the battle, you will have a hard time to press them back, because as you can see, they will boost their military HP and attack damage, and also you can train your units with them. So just keep that in mind. If you play against Japan, make sure to always use the range cavalry, either dragons, Cavalry's, war wagons, whatever range cavalry that you have, to chase them and kill them. But then make sure to not use the melee infantry against these Shogun and Daimyos, because as you can see, their cavalry unit, they have a higher speed compared to the heavy infantry unit, so you won't be able to reach them if they run around. But then with the dragons and the range cavalry units, you can reach them and kill them. So yeah, so against all these actually all of these are heavy cavalry unit. To counter them, you can either use the effective way is to use the melee heavy infantry units, because they will do quite a decent damage to them. You can of course use the musketeer type units, but it's if you want to do a decent damage to them, you have to set them on melee mode, which won't be that useful. But then again, the Carlins will do insane damage with their upgrade card to all these cavalry units. And then I think, yeah, so the other thing that counters them is the rifle riders, even though they count as heavy cavalry, but then as you can see, they have 3 multiplier to cavalry units. So just have that in mind. And then regarding these light cavalry unit, you just want to use them against heavy cavalries, because as you can see, they have insane multipliers. They can kill the heavy cavalries really easy. And then same goes for the shock infantry. You can kill the shock infantries with range cavalry units. And so, but then if you want to kill these the light cavalry units with range attack, you can use the musketeers, or you can use the skirmishers. And then if you're able to reach them in melee mode, you can use the heavy infantry with melee attack damage. And then these are the artillery units of the game. So these units you can train with the civ that you're playing. This one is the Great Bombard. You can only train it with factory, or you can send it through shipment card. They are insane, as you can see. They have 5 area damage, and then they'll do splash damage. They have insane range. They're really effective. These are the rockets for British. Again, same like the Great Bombard. You can just train them through the factories of British, and also you can send them through shipments. These are the Flying Crows. You can either train them with the Wonder Age Up Wonders for China, or you can send it through the shipments. And this is the heavy cannon, which you can train it through most of the European civ. You can train heavy cavalry from their factory. They have quite a decent stat, but I would say the rocket and the great bomber are much better. And then the hand mortars of Chinese, they have low damage, so in case if you want to use them, you have to use them in a batch. So all of them will do a decent damage. And then so the hand mortars are good against other artilleries and also good against building. And then the great bombard is good against infantries, good against buildings. The rockets, you can use them to destroy building, but then they're better against infantry. Same goes for the flying crows, they're good against infantry and building. The same goes for heavy cannon. And then the horse artillery, they're good against infantry. And then I forgot to say, in case if there are any ships, you can use all these artilleries to destroy them, except the flamethrower, which they have a short range. As you can see, their range is very short, so that's why they cannot do a decent damage to ships unless they are really close to the coast. Okay, and then these are the organ guns. For only the Portuguese have these organ guns. They are really strong against infantry because, as you can see, they have multiple guns, as you can see. So when they start to fire, it will like they'll do area damage to infantries. And then the falconets and the horse artillery are almost the same. It's just that the horse artillery costs one more population compared to them, and then as you can see, they have higher siege damage, and also they are more mobile compared to falconets because of their speed. And then we have the light cannon, which you can train them with Haudenosaunee, but then Incas also have these light cannon, but then you can only get them for once with the I think it's the stronghold upgrade. And then the flaming arrows. The flaming arrows are really decent against other artilleries, and also they're good against infantries as well. But then their splash damage is not as good as the horse artilleries, but then they are quite decent. I forgot to explain about the flamethrowers. They are for Chinese only, and they are really strong against infantry only, but then other units or sieging units, they are not doing any damage to them. As you can see, their siege is only 5, but then their multiplier against infantry is 6. Sorry, yeah, 6. So what else? Yeah, we have the covering. Make sure to only use covering if you want to destroy the enemy's artillery. It doesn't matter what type of artillery, they will do decent damage to artillery units. And then the siege elephants of India, as you can see, they are really mobile. You don't need to set them on limber mode or bombard mode. They can just move around with bombard mode and just shoot. So that is the good point of them. They are not really good against infantry, so you can only use them against artillery, ships, and buildings. And these are the mortars of Japan. They have high range with their upgrade card, high siege damage. And these are the normal mortars of the game. They're insane against building and ships. And the leather cannons is only for Sweden. They are really decent against infantry, and then as you can see, they'll do area damage as well. The Abus guns of Ottoman, they are really decent. As you can see, they'll do quite a decent damage against light cavalry, light range cavalry, and also heavy infantry. They'll do a decent damage against other infantries as well, but then it's they are more decent against heavy infantry. So just keep that in mind. So let's say if you're playing with Ottoman, it's better to upgrade your horse artillery and also your Abuskan, because the Abuskan doesn't do decent damage. Let's say if the enemy is using Skirmisher type, you won't be able to kill them as efficient as possible. And then the Grenadiers, as you can see, they have they'll do splash damage, so they're good against infantries, buildings, but then it's not really suggested to use them unless you want to have fun with them, so just keep that in mind. And then the flail elephants of India, they're really good against buildings because they'll do area damage to buildings, and you can just use like 5 or between 5 to 10 of them to just run the enemy's base down. But then again, they are really weak against range cavalry. Okay, and these are the rams of Haudenosaunee. They only good against sieging buildings. Other than that, they cannot do anything. And these are the manlets of Haudenosaunee. As you can see, they have high HP. So what you can do with them is just use them as a meat shield in front of your army. As you can see, they have 0.5 range resistance, which is huge. But then if you face against them, just use cavalry. And the arrow knights of Aztec, again, they are really decent against artillery units, as you can see. And then also they're good against sieging building, but in the previous game they were better because they had higher range with their upgrade card. And then so make sure to only use them if the enemy is using artillery to kill their artillery, or if you want to siege their building down. The Horakas are the same like the arrow knights. They are good against buildings and other artillery units. Wait, actually, are they not? Okay, so they seem to not be decent against okay, but then still you can use them against artilleries as well. So yeah, so if let's say the enemy was using any type of artillery, what you can do is just use either use the flaming arrows if you're playing with Japan, and then the siege elephant if you're playing with India, the hand mortars if you play with China, and then the arrow knight and Hurakas if you're playing with Aztec and Inca. And then the other way that you can destroy their enemies artillery is just to use the heavy cavalry units and also light cavalry units. But some of the light cavalry units, they don't do much damage to artillery units, so it's better to use the heavy cavalry units. But then make sure when the enemy is using them, they do not have any musketeer type or any heavy infantry type in front of their artillery to cover them, otherwise they can destroy your cavalry. But then still taking out the enemy's artillery is I would say comes first, because if they have the artillery you cannot use infantry and they can siege down your building. So it's better to destroy the enemy's artillery as fast as you can. So this was a general explanation about the unit types of the game. So all these units you can train with your civs. I mean, different civs that you play, they have different units. I didn't include the mercenaries and the native allies because if I use them in this video, it would be a lengthy video. So what I do is just put them in another video and then again sort them like this, so you guys have a better understanding about their units as well. So I hope for those who requested, you find this video useful, and also for the players that are new to the game, either supremacy game, rush games, and treaty games, you can just use the counter units again and again and again. Don't use only one unit, especially in treaty games, because usually the enemy will know how to counter your unit if you're using only one type of unit. So it's always good to do counter unit. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and you guys find it useful and you learn something new from it. So if that's the case, make sure to hit the subscribe button and like the video, and you can just ask me anything in the comment section. And for I think in the next few days I'll try to upload the unit explanation about the native warriors and mercenaries as well. So until then, see you guys and goodbye.